Hey everybody, are we live? We're here. We can be heard. Let me see here. Oh, wow. Sean's first in the chat here. As is our normal ritual, we're just waiting a second to make sure that everything is functioning and working well. Looks like we're doing good. Says our data is less than optimal. Isn't excellent, it's just good, but okay, maybe that'll go up in a minute here. Anyway, though, hi everybody. Welcome back to the Vagrancy Horror Presents From One Side to the Other. You'll all be happy to know that I have recovered from the horrible agony of last week when we were trying hot sauces. The bishop is also healing well over there in the corner. Yeah, those evil hot sauces. I mean, I don't know if you were paying attention, but that one just jumped out of the bottle and attacked the bishop. Totally didn't do it to himself or anything like that. But welcome back, everyone. We're back in the original position, back with my chair. Hi, Mom. Hi, everyone. So, tonight's going to be a bit of a stranger topic because it's going to require a very clear disclaimer in the beginning that... Cobalt, that's not nice to say. He totally did not deserve to get hot sauce right into his eye. He's lucky he didn't end up looking like Lawrence.
I'm glad it wasn't hotter.
It's a good thing.
It was kind of a weak sauce, to be honest.
I was going to say, you're kind of probably happy it was such a weak, piddly sauce. By the way, thank you again to Fuego Box. Even though that wasn't sponsored or anything, I'm sure that they're just like sitting there. Oh, we want these videos taken down. How dare they talk about us like this? They're making us look bad. Hello, Mr. Bishop. Alrighty. So, what are we talking about tonight? Tonight we are talking, and again, I want to stress that I'm using this term very loosely, and I'll explain more detail. We're talking about angels and demons. Now, I can already hear a couple of you scratching your heads going, Mr. Chester, I can think of one very, very strong reason why you probably don't have a lot to say about angels and demons. But the explanation I have is that I'm using the term very loosely. I don't refer to the biblical accounts of angels or demons, although there is a degree that we'll mention those too. What I'm referring to is more of a kind of fallback to terminology that some paranormal investigators use to describe an exceptionally strong non-corporeal being or non-physical being. Anyway, trying to read the chat and read notes at the same time. But anyhow, a very strong version. We're not talking about your normal ghost or shadow person, although some people say shadow people are demons. But anyway, what we're referring to is something that is significantly more capable of interacting with the physical world around us. And of course, as the names imply, a demon is a negative influence and an angel is a positive influence. But again, these are just loose terms, so try not to get hung up on them. And considering that I myself am a card-carrying member of the dark side, and I'm sure most of the people in the chat are too, let's go to the fun one first, right? Let's start off the top with demons. Now, demons are kind of interesting in that their biblical counterpart, the term demons comes from the Bible, and according to like medieval occultism and demonology, there's a ton of these creatures, like different kinds. There's all kinds of demons, and then there's the specific ones that have names, stuff like that. Bishop, I'm afraid you're alone in this chat here on the light side versus dark side thing. That is no way for a bishop to be behaving. Wow. Well, I'm glad they can't see you. We'd be off the damn air. Anyway, sorry about that. The bishop is in the corner and he's not happy to realize that the chat is full of filthy sinners. Anyway, back to my point. Medieval demonology and occultism says that there's tons of demons and they all act differently and they all need to be dealt with in different ways and different functions. What's funny is that the real world counterpart demons are almost universally the same, to the point that some people even theorize that demonic possession and encounters are actually the same single non-physical being over and over again, all over the world, all around the world. And yeah, it's funny, but they have very specific rules. It's weird. They function, I don't want to say linear, identical. They perform identically. They always need to bind to something. Negative spirits, again, especially the strong ones, they always need to kind of plant roots, so to speak. And these vary all over the place. There are stories of people being possessed, which we'll go into greater detail in just a second. A lot of times it's a cursed object, or there's even stories of pets. Haunted pets that had spirits that were bound and clung to them. Which I have to say, man, how do you tell? Like how do you tell when Scruffy is possessed by the devil? Stop hiking your leg up, Satan! I keep forgetting that the sign is here, so I'm like gesturing my hand and you guys can't see it for shit. Anyway, though, just a ghost with good PR team. Powerful ghosts are based on how scary it is. Not exactly, Sean. Yes, I know. The bishop is bleeding over there in the corner. And this time it's not because of hot sauce in his face. It's because I cursed. But anyway. No, when I say powerful, I mean actually these... Jokes aside, demons are actually very dangerous. Whatever you think they are or wherever they come from, to be called a demon, it's a power level, kind of. A normal ghost can, like, tug on your shirt or maybe smack you or something like that. Stories about demonic possessions and encounters are way more violent and way more dangerous. There are stories of people being, like, slashed. Growing up in India, there was actually a house that claimed it was haunted. And it was literally about... Yeah, it was the next block over from my house, now that I think about it. They actually got footage. Apparently, this demon attacked their family routinely. And it really got angry and active when they would say grace before dinner. And one day they actually caught it on film, and the father of the house, he intentionally had his shirt off, and they were saying grace, and in the footage that they got with their little hand quarter, there were, I want to say, 4 red marks that just formed along his chest, and they bled. And that's just one example. I actually knew that kid. I didn't really talk to him. I knew kids who lived in the house. I didn't really talk to them, but I knew whose house it was. And yeah, their father got slashed across the chest. I've heard other stories about demons that can literally pick a person up off the ground. There was one, this was an old YouTube video. I'm sure it's not a thing anymore, but a woman got pulled into her bathroom and her boyfriend or husband or whoever the hell grabbed his phone to record it, because that's what you do when your girlfriend or your wife is suddenly thrown into another room by an unseen force. You grab your phone. And when he actually got around the corner, he could see into the bathroom. She was up on the wall like Spider-Man. So yeah, demons. The term is not used lightly, even by atheists like myself. It refers to something that is substantially stronger than a normal quote-unquote ghost. Hi, Connie. Anyway, they're much stronger, but again, they're kind of vulnerable. They need something to anchor themselves to. This is what we sometimes refer to as demonic possession. I've mentioned it before, and it varies a lot. A lot of people, they think demonic possession means like the person's eyes roll into the back of their head spins around 360 degrees, and they start talking about sucking bunions in hell. Actually, no. A lot of paranormal investigators will tell you that actually demonic possessions are usually a lot more subtle. They can get really bad, and like full-on control of the victim can become a thing. And I actually have a story about that as well that I'll get to in a minute. First, we'll work up to it. A lot of times, supposedly, demonic possessions are actually much more weak. And they usually are more like the victim just doesn't feel well. They feel more depressed. They feel more frustrated at things. That's a very common one. Is just a general buildup of negative emotion and energy, which is interesting. The Catholic Church, who has demonic possession down to a science. A lot of people don't realize exorcist is a literal specific rank of cleric. I think the term is clergy. I'm not sure what the terminology for the hierarchy is within Catholicism, but exorcist is a specific type of priest. Not just any priest is an exorcist. And that's actually why to get a true Catholic exorcism is actually very complicated. You have to prove that there's demonic presence. When I was doing the research for this, I saw a anonymous interview that a supposed exorcist actually gave, and he commented how he actually feels really bad about his job because a lot of times people go to them like, please help us, we have a demon in our home, our child is tormented by a demon or the devil, and he goes and he does research on, he interviews them and he does his own investigation, and he finds no proof that it's actually demonic in nature. It's that the child has some kind of mental disorder, or maybe even sometimes it's that the parents are abusive actually behind the scenes. And so he confessed that he would do what's called a minor exorcism, which is basically just praying for them. Because there's two kinds of exorcism. There's a minor and a major. Maybe you have. Like I said, they are not. It's not like in the movies. It's usually actually very subtle. Because the truth is, well, the truth. I don't know the truth. I can only tell you the stories. A lot of the stories, they say that these spirits. It's not that they just do this maliciously. It's not that they're like, I'm gonna leave hell and have some fun tonight, Vegeta. No, it's that they need it. They are parasitic. They feed off of people and, yes, even animals. And the result of their feeding is this influx of negative emotion, this negative energy. People who are possessed demonically, the common one is they tend to get frustrated and very angry over like nothing at all. Supposedly, again. A lot of people say depression. too. I have a friend actually, and I won't say their name because obviously I don't have their permission. They recently went through a really bad struggle with addiction, and they were even saying how how the withdrawal, yeah, they said it felt demonic. It really did sometimes, and it legitimately scared them. But yeah, that's what these creatures do. They kind of hide in explainable ways. You know, it's a lot more subtle. Now there is documented cases of full on control taken of the body, kind of I guess you could say more Hollywood exorcisms, where the entity speaks and directly controls the host. But these are like 1 in a million. These are stupidly rare. But I have a story about one. I had a teacher in high school. We called him Mr. Ron, I believe, off the top of my head. He claimed that he had a experience with a demon that actually took control of a friend of his, another teacher. Because this other teacher worked at La Quinta High School. Now, I'm gonna bet a vast majority of the people in the chat have no clue what I'm talking about. But La Quinta High School was a very powerful hotspot for paranormal activity back when I was a kid. The ghost story was that actually the high school itself was built over what used to be a sort of temple back when the natives controlled the region, or something like that, like a church. No, it wasn't a church. Yeah, no, it was it wasn't Mexico. It was actually like Native Americans. Supposedly there was some kind of a temple or holy ground that was leveled, and they put what became eventually La Quinta High School was put over that, and so it was like horribly, horribly cursed. And I could probably make a whole show talking about La Quinta High School by itself. But anyway, this teacher worked there. Now, he was a skeptic, and he actually burial grounds. My sister says it was burial grounds. I heard it was like a temple or something, some kind of holy church thing. But anyway, regardless, the point is it was built over some place that was supposed to be sacred, and settlers came and didn't sanctify it or respect it. They put a high school on top of it, of all things, which is probably the opposite of a temple if you think about it in a lot of ways. What's that? Is a temple better than a... That's a good question. Bishop, what is your spiritual advice? Is it worse to build over graves or a temple?
Depends on what the temple's built to.
Fair enough from the bishop. I'm not sure what's worse. I just know both would be bad.
If the temple's built to something bad, then the temple's way worse, I would say.
Well, yeah, then you're provoking something. But anyway, and this teacher, none of the above. Yeah, I think Tara has the right idea there. None of the above. Just don't build anything over anything that is considered sacred to someone, because you're going to tick something off probably. But anyway, this teacher was a skeptic, and he actually was annoyed by the fact that other teachers and students would complain all the time about seeing ghosts or hearing things or finding cold spots. All kinds of weird shit happened. There I go again. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, I know. Gonna set off a smoke alarm or something. Anyway, though, and so this teacher, he outright challenged the spirits of that school. He said, you know what? If you're so big, you're so bad, you're so real, how come you only do stuff to people that are already scared of you? I'm not scared of you. Do something to me. And then a few days later, somebody broke into his house. Somebody who didn't take anything just broke a couple windows and apparently left. But he heard them walk through his home. because he was up in his bedroom and he wasn't going to come out when he heard a window break and heard someone stomping around. And that was the first thing. But then weird stuff started happening, like he found things moved around in his house, and he was actually worried that there was somebody, basically a squatter, was living in his house when he wasn't around. So he had Mr. Ron basically come over and stay over for the weekend and try to catch this guy. Now, Mr. Ron, he believed that La Quinta was haunted. That was one of the reasons he wouldn't work there. He specifically wouldn't work there, actually. But he stayed, and he claimed that this teacher was just sitting on the couch, and suddenly he started having like a seizure, like convulsing and shaking and stuff. And then he calmed down, and he started talking in a different voice, saying that he was a spirit that had been insulted by this man, and so he was going to make him pay. And here's the thing that I think is always messed up about this story. Mr. Ron, seeing someone he described as a friend become possessed and start talking in a different voice, literally just conducts an interview. Like, well, okay, can you just tell me about yourself, Mr. Spirit that's possessing my friend? By the way, get the hell out of his body. No, just asking him questions. And here's the funny thing is, he actually was able to recall very well that, like, he sat and he talked with this creature for, like, he said almost an hour. For almost an hour, this, whatever it was, had entered into his friend's body and was just answering questions. But it was very strange. He was very cryptic and vague. I remember Ron said he asked, well, do you have a name, or should I just call you the Spirit? And it said something like its name was like Silverbrand or something like that. Silver something. And like I said, for about an hour, supposedly, he just talked to this creature. He asked, well, how old are you? When were you alive? And the creature said that it was before time was measured in AD or BC, which I mean, could you get more vague than that? I mean, pre-colonial, I guess. Very. What else are you gonna do? Okay, I see your logic, Tara. But at the same time, I'm officially not calling you for help if I have a possession on my hands. Yeah, Sean has the right idea. Play 20 questions with the demon possessing your friend. I'm sure that can't come out bad. I realize this is the wrong chat to be bringing this up with, because like every single one of the person in this chat's like, hell yeah, let's summon a demon. Makes me wonder how Jesus is doing. Well, last I heard he was in West Virginia, so he's most likely dead or being probed. But anyway, and what's interesting is at the end of this hour or so, this silver being told Mr. Ron, before I go, just remember, I've only told you the truth once. And then his friend convulsed again and was back to normal. And he thought he had fallen asleep on the couch. He didn't remember anything that had happened. But this spirit apparently had possessed him and talked for an hour, but it only told one honest answer of all the questions. No, I am not going to... Okay, yes, you might be the only idiot who'd be willing to come and help me with a possession. I'm still not going to call you! It does happen. I love how nonchalant Mr. Bishop is in there. It's like, well, it happens. Demonic possession, You make fun of a yeah, you make fun of a haunted school. You tell them to come at you, bro. It came at him. Um, but yeah, now those kind of possessions are actually extremely rare, and generally that requires a true exorcist, uh, which is a whole thing of itself. There's all kinds of specific objects and multiple prayers that are done. In fact, for a traditional true Catholic exorcism, it actually usually takes place over sessions. There was one, when I was looking this up, there was one priest, exorcist, who claimed that he had done over 400 exorcisms, but they were mostly over like the same dozen people because it's a prolonged process. To when a spirit is so strong that it can physically control the body, it's not a surgery, it's a prescription to whittle it down and finally drive it away. What's funny is that not really every religion and philosophy has its own version of the exorcism. And what I've personally found through my own research is that there's a theory about, well, why do these creatures respond so negatively to faith? A lot of stories of demonic possession will tell you that they get very agitated if you start to pray or if you bring a religious object into the house. And one theory about that is it's a placebo effect. Because these creatures don't have a physical body. They are essentially made of energy. Now, your brain, by thinking, produces its own kind of energy or wavelength. Sean, I mean, that's funny, but come on. Big Catholicism. That's the next big conspiracy theory. Big Catholicism selling you more exorcisms than you need. But anyway, back to my point. Your brain, when you think, it produces an electric pulse or energy. And these creatures, being made of energy, can be affected by it. The same way that a physical object can be pushed or struck. And so the fact of the matter is most people think they couldn't, confront or stare down a demon. But I bet your God could. And so prayer and faith are kind of like giving yourself permission to actually stand up to these creatures. And they don't like that. This is one of the reasons that it's not just Christian prayer that seems to tick them off. Watch any paranormal video from the Middle East. Islamic prayer works just as well. So does Buddhist. Because it's the confidence, it's the actual faith, the certainty that you can stand up to this creature, that you can push it back, that actually seems to hurt them. This is why a lot of people say, you have to be very careful with these creatures. Because again, to be a demon, they have to be particularly strong. And they will try to hurt you. There are stories of demonic possessions that ended up killing people even. But the number one rule, and this is if you're pagan, atheist, Christian, whatever the hell, whatever you believe, you have to stand up to them. You have to try and stay strong. They'll try and break you. It kind of goes back to the whole thing about shadow people. They get angry if you acknowledge them or you try to talk to them. It's kind of the opposite of a demon. A demon, you have to talk to them. You have to confront them. What's that line from Beetlejuice? It's your house. Get him out your damn self. You know, that's the truth. You have to fight them. It sucks because they don't fight fair. I mean, this is a thing that can literally make you feel awful, emotionally and mentally, and they can even hurt you physically if you really tick them off. But they will not leave on their own. They are parasitic. They will stay and they will feed until something pushes them away. And for some people, it's faith. Hey, you can do like they do in Japan and just start profusely cursing at them. I mean, that it works on ghosts, and why not some other kind of non-physical creature? A lot of people also say that they tend to target people who are isolative, which goes back to our friends of the Wendigo. Yeah, you ever notice that? It's always the edgelords and the lonely people who are demonically possessed. You never see like Smiling Bob get demonically possessed. Although then again, giving his facial structure, he might be a demon itself. Oh, I remember those commercials. I hated those commercials, but they were also really funny. But anyway, my point is, demons are universally the same across the board. They always act the same way. They have the same way to treat them and deal with them. Yeah, Tar saying, yeah, people who shut themselves off from others who are already, generally more depressed and negative. Yeah, that's just an easy target. that's ringing the dinner bell, But yeah, it's kind of funny. You have to fight them, and they'll do everything they can. They'll play every dirty trick. A lot of what we call mental disorders today were called demonic possessions before, and it's one of those things where it's like, I'm not saying every person with depression is demonically possessed, but that is a symptom. You know what I mean? It's one of those things. It's like with the UFOs. Not every odd object in the sky is an alien, but some of them might be. And that's kind of what we're here for, right? We're here to talk about the weird stuff like that. For the record, I hope no one has a demon. I don't want to have. I wouldn't want to have one, and I wouldn't wish anyone to have one, because these are, like I said at the beginning, these are not like obnoxious ghosts that knock stuff over or they can like pull on your shirt. These are things that can literally pick people up off the ground. That's a big thing in Hollywood exorcisms, is the body levitating. So that's not how it works in real life. In real demonic possessions, it's usually more the creature lifts the person up violently. And trying to think of a good segue here, because I mean we're pretty down in the dark, aren't we, here with literal demons? So we're gonna shift gears slightly, because here's the thing I think is funny. Like I said before, demons. There's 1,000 different demons, and then there's the named ones, and that's not even just the Bible. That's like demonology, occultism, all that stuff. There's thousands of them. There's only a few angels. There's only a few kinds of angels. And then there's again, if you go off of like European folklore, there's even a couple specific named angels, but not many. But the biblical accounts, which is where we get the word angel from, angels are the ones who are uniformed. They're almost always the same. And demons are varied. In the real world, it's the opposite. Angels are very all over the board. There are all kinds of different stories about angelic encounters. And we're gonna pep up the chat here a little bit. We're gonna talk about the good side, the good side of the coin. Angels, who are, again, they're the opposite of a demon. They are a very powerful non-physical creature or non-physical being. Michael and Raphael. I remember those two. Raphael is the voice of God in European folklore, and Michael is God's champion, if I'm not mistaken. I think. Again, they're not in the. I don't think they're mentioned in the Bible specifically. They're in European folklore. Again, medieval. You say medieval occultism and you think of demons, but no, it also discusses angels too. But anyway, angelic encounters actually vary greatly. Oh, they are both in the Bible. Excuse me, they are both mentioned in the Bible, actually. Good thing I have a bishop over here doing his job. Oh, Gabriel is the... No, Gabriel... Isn't Gabriel the one that opens the gates of heaven? The one who sounds the trumpet? Either way, we're not talking about the biblical creatures. We're talking about... Raphael is the healer, Michael is the warrior. Okay. Yeah, Raphael is the one who taught healing and medicine to people. Again, I'm going off folklore. I'm not going off the Bible. But anyway, back to my point. There's very few angels. There's a ton of demons. And the real world counterpart is the opposite. There are all kinds of different stories that are attributed as being angelic. Because again, just like a demon is, it's a loosely used term to describe a good, non-physical being. And just like people, they come in all shapes and sizes and everything. The big three, though, there are three very common ones. Deep cut angel lore. Surprise, everyone, it's a lore video. Honestly, to be fair, we could probably do a freaking stream just talking about the biblical angels. That's something that always kind of annoyed me. And again, this is coming from an atheist. What is up with Christians and glossing over their own religion? Like, seriously, you never hear people talk about like the angels. There's all these cool characters and stories from the Bible, and like you almost never hear anyone talk about them. They always just talk about Jesus. All the Christians in the chat are just like strong words for an atheist, I know, but it's like, dude, there's actually a lot of cool stuff, that's always kind of glanced over. I mean, seriously, the biblical angels are freaking metal. Some of them are literally described as being metallic. But anyway, I'm getting way off topic here. I kind of actually am, maybe we will talk about them. Maybe we'll do a future episode talking about the specifics of, because again, like I said, you never hear people talk about this stuff. You don't really hear people talk about like, David or stuff like, or Samson. Almost nobody talks about Samson. Samson was badass. Shit, sorry. Anyway, though, angelic encounters usually come in one of three varieties. And they refer to either as a presence, a dream, or a stranger. And we're going to kind of jump around a little bit for the sake of narrative here. But first, presents are probably the most common. They are, true to the definition, they are not physical things. It's usually more like a feeling. A lot of people who have this kind of angelic encounter, they'll say it's like having a second set of emotions, or a strange warmth, which is another thing that separates angels from your typical non-physical beings. Most spirits, ghosts, demons, things like that, they cause what we call cold spots. All my knowledge of the Bible comes from the Binding of Isaac. Binding of Isaac isn't a bad game. It's a bit of edgelordy, but it was kind of fun. But yeah, no, maybe we will talk about biblical creatures and characters somewhere down the road. But anyway, presents are very strange because they are the opposite of normal spirits. Normally, spirits cause cold spots, which is where in a specific space the temperature drastically will drop. Angelic presence cause it to warm up. Not like a burning, but like a comfortable, calm warmth. And these spirits usually they kind of linger around things, similar to how demons can bind themselves to objects. Sometimes a presence will stay somewhere where a specific item of significance was, which is why some people theorize that angels and demons are ghosts. They're dead people who, for some reason, are just stronger than your normal paranormal activity. Well, you better, Tara. You're the freaking Christian in the family. Sean, I don't think you can hire an angel for the winter. I don't think they work like that. I mean, that be useful? I'll give you that. But anyway, back to my point. Angelic presence, usually they're tied to comfort. A lot of people who claim they experience angelic presence are people who are mourning. Everybody and their ugly sister has a story about how, like, well, after my grandparents died, I had to clear out their attic, and I found all their old stuff, and they felt an angelic presence when they were doing that. Yeah, it's kind of one of those things. They're creatures that are drawn to negativity like a demon, but rather than feed on it, they kind of help. They heal. Some people claim that on rare occasion they can also kind of have a physical form, sort of. A lot of people who say that they have experienced angelic presence say they saw something like out of the corner of their eye or something like that. Some people jokingly refer to them as spirit animals, which is another common thing, is dead pets, supposedly. Manifest as angelic presence, but that's the very common one. A lot of people will say that they felt them in hospitals too. You hear about them all the time in hospitals, which is interesting because there are some stories of people, like, they'll say that they were under anesthetics for like a surgery, and they felt this warm presence and they felt very calm. And usually they'll say they hear a voice that'll usually be encouraging them. It's like, you're okay, you're going to be fine, you're going to make it through this, you're going to be okay. A lot of them sometimes will also say, kind of have an urgency to them, being like, you have to hold on, you have to get through this, you'll be okay. A big one is saying to keep your eyes closed, just rest, don't look at me, don't look for me. Just listen to my voice. Some people, especially the spiritual, claim it's because that's to actually look at something divine, like an angel or so on. You kind of can't turn back from them. They're so beautiful and pure that if you actually see them, you choose to stay with them in the afterlife, so to speak, or things like that. So they don't want you to see them. Kind of like a shadow person, actually. It's creepy how all these supernatural, non-physical things keep connecting to each other, huh? Of course, to be fair, I would much rather an angelic presence than a shadow person. Oh. I'm sorry, I had those in the house I grew up in as a child, and yeah, I'm good. I'm good. We are A-okay on all the shadow people. See, I keep telling people I'm a card carrier of the dark side. Even when I'm supposed to be talking about angels, I keep going back to the dark stuff. But anyway, They're very common. That's probably the most common type of angel. Is the presence. And again, we're going to skip around a little bit here to what used to be very common. They've kind of, you don't hear as much about them anymore. What I refer to as the strangers. We all have heard the story. You know, oh, I was driving down Highway 111 and it was raining and I crashed, and when the paramedics showed up, they said there was a man who had pulled me out of the car and had saved my life. These are probably the most powerful kind of spirit, if they are spirits, because they can physically manifest. They can turn into a flesh and blood creature. And what they do is, in like last ditch effort, do or die situations, they manifest. It's almost always a man, by the way. They always turn into a man, and they'll pull someone out of a car crash, or they'll save someone from a river. There are stories. I literally saw one when I was doing research for this about a woman. Her apartment complex had caught on fire, and she said this man in a white t-shirt and just blue jeans, right? Like, he didn't look special. He looked like just a normal person. Ran past everybody else into the building, and pulled out this old man who actually, I guess he had dementia or something, and he was confused. He couldn't get out of the building, basically. And the story claims that the man got the elder out and literally just went around a corner and was gone. He literally just walked. He didn't talk to anyone. He didn't answer any questions. He just left. And when he went around a corner, he was gone. As soon as there was a break in contact eyesight with him, he just vanished. But they always, well, almost always, they're almost always a man, and they are nondescript. The more people try to remember them, it's like their mind gets fuzzy. Creatures who suddenly make you forget about them. You know, I feel like I'm forgetting something. Didn't we mention that somewhere before? I'm sure it's nothing. Anyway, though. There's a few stories of, like, if you can get one to talk to you at all, they'll give you the most generic, indirect answers possible. There were a couple stories about them I saw where they said, "Well, my name's Joe. I'm just Joe. I'm John. Nice to meet you." And again, they come in, they save a person, and then they just go away. They just vanish into the darkness. Yes, the dream angels. I'll get through that in a second, Tara. But strangers they used to be fairly common. Like, everyone had a story about a stranger who came along and saved their life, and then just was gone. Supposedly they're very strong too. There are a couple stories. There was one story about this guy. He had a car crash, and he was out in like the middle. I want to say he said he was from Arizona. He had crashed and actually rolled his car, and he was half conscious, but he remembers a man showed up and told him, "You're going to be okay," and then physically pulled the car door off and pulled him out of the wreckage. So these creatures are incredibly strong physically. But yeah, they're almost impossible to distinctly remember. No story I saw of them was able to give deeper detail, like what kind of haircut they had, what color was their skin. There's never details about them. They are always as nondescript and vague as possible. And they're almost kind of like leprechauns. because you know how there's the story if you don't watch a leprechaun, if you take your eyes off it, they can disappear. That's how these creatures work. They literally will like go around a corner or walk through behind a tree or something, and they're just gone. They vanish. Now, given how strong they apparently are, I can only assume that it probably takes a lot of like their focus and energy, but these are by far the most powerful. I'd argue they're probably one of the strongest paranormal things of all, because you're talking about something without a body that suddenly has a body. And then it can use this body to apparently literally rip a car apart. I mean, seriously, think how much effort it actually takes to put a dent in a car. And these things can apparently pull a door off. So, if you ever encounter a stranger, and for the record, chat, I love you, chat. I hope nobody ever is in a situation where they need a stranger to come save them. But if you do find yourself in such a situation, be respectful. Because if it can rip a car door off, it can probably turn you into a pretzel. Yes, always, yeah, always be safe, always be respectful. I mean, personally, me, I even if it wasn't a supernatural being, I'd be very grateful to someone who ran into a burning building to get my ass out. Especially mine, because, like, I mean, there's a lot to move here. Okay, saving me from a car wreck or something would probably... Just an angel standing there. I'm going to need backup. Backup, I need 2 more guys. You know, actually, now that I think about it, I say that out loud, and I realize something. All the stories I read about the strangers, they're alone. It's always one man. It's kind of like the opposite of the MIB, who totally don't exist, who are always in groups or pairs. But angelic strangers are always by themselves. Yeah, losing my train of thought here. I'm suddenly becoming forgetful. We talk about the creatures that you can't remember, and suddenly I'm losing my place on my notes. But yeah, no, these creatures, there were stories of them all across like the 80s and 90s and 70s. It's interesting that they're less common now, but kind of in reverse order, the angelic presence have become much more common. Which I guess maybe that's a good thing? In a weird way, like, I mean, we have less situations where we need a stranger to come in and save people. So that's a good thing to, right? I mean, I'm going to assume that these creatures, if they are real, they're still a thing. Maybe they're not as needed anymore. You know, also it could be that they have to hide themselves so they don't show up as much, because now everybody has a camera. I mean, well, again, if they have to operate in secret, they can't really move around well, I guess I don't know why they'd have to operate in secret. But then again, I mean, I'm a human. I barely know how to function as a person. What the hell? How the hell would I know about how an angel is supposed to work? I think we're more close. Yeah, that's a theory. That people are closed off to the supernatural. We don't see it as much anymore because people don't believe it. Which to me personally, I mean, people talk about, you know, I'm going to go on a quick side tangent here. You know, people, this is something I hear a lot as an atheist. People are like, well, isn't it bleak? Isn't it sad? And it's like, well, you know what honestly I think is sad is the idea of people, you know, not exploring and not wanting to discover things. It's funny because how a lot of Christians think I feel, that's how I feel when people talk about, you know, there's no Bigfoot. It's like, well, okay, maybe there isn't, but isn't the world kind of less without him? You know, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sure it would be beneficial if there were no demons or MIB, who totally don't exist. But you know, in a weird way, I feel like the world would be worse off without them. They kind of have a purpose. Even, like I said, evil creatures, you know, even the Jersey Devil. You know, it's like, imagine how bland and boring the world would be if there weren't monsters. Or angels. Too much television, says my sister. And Mr. Bishop brings up a good point. There are stories of people who try to take photographs of the strangers and they become blurred. They're blurry, or the lighting is weird. That was another one. For a long time, that was a paranormal phenomena. Trying to take pictures, and there'd be strange light spots. Just these random flares in the photograph, as if there was some kind of bright light source. Which I guess makes sense. I mean, supposedly you can photograph a shadow person, and they look like just a black mass on the picture. So, I mean, I guess the opposite direction would work too. But yeah, these are... Yeah, like, again, I know I'm kind of going on a side tangent here, but like, yeah, it's one of those things. It's you hear a lot of people of faith say, I couldn't imagine a world without God. It's like, okay, I can respect that, but that's how I feel about this. These stories, these creatures, these characters. Like I said back in our very first episode, I'm willing to concede that most of these stories are probably fictional. But the world without them just doesn't seem worth it. Yeah. That's another theory, Bishop. How we physically can't perceive them, and so they're invisible to us. I refer to the Lovecraftian theory. Side tangent here, I know. Another side tangent. Lovecraft claimed that one of the reasons he was so vague in his descriptions of like Great Cthulhu and so on is because he was describing them from the perspective of the people that were seeing it. The problem is the human brain can't comprehend a creature like Great Cthulhu, so it becomes this kind of jumbled up, weird description of a dragon with an octopus head. It's not that that's what Cthulhu actually looks like, according to Lovecraft. It's that that's the best the human mind can do to describe him. And some people claim that that's how demons and angels are. That a lot of times we kind of push out the actual what they look like. Because they're too frightening. Some people say they're too beautiful. In the case of angels, they're too pure. Ooh, there we go. Oh, man, that was a bubble in my chest. I had a bubble in my chest there, and it hurt. But I'm okay. Don't worry, guys. I'm not going to keel over on a stream. Unless I make another joke about the MIB. Anyway. Oh, crud. What happened? Hey, there we go. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Choopy, our technical advisor who handles things. I don't know what possessed me to agree to let a chupacabra handle the software, but there he was. Hi, Choopy. But anyway, yeah, supposedly one of the well, not supposedly, it is one of the theories. One of the theories about angels and demons and creatures like the Mothman and the Jersey Devil and the MIB, who totally don't exist, is that they are more than our minds can actually understand. And so we either forget or we kind of break them down into a mental image that we can endure, for lack of a better term. Yeah, he means well. He means well. Choopy means well. Tell you what, though, man, it's becoming a pain in the butt to pay him. Do you know how expensive a goat is? But anyway, as I was saying, yeah, they used to be very common. They're less so now. Some people argue demonic stuff is also on the decline. Which I guess, I mean, that second part's good. Personally, I'm going to say if there's a supernatural force that's out there saving people's lives from drowning or burning to death or being crushed in a car, I have no objections to you guys sticking around. Please do. But there is one last variety of angel, and I kind of been skipping around here. But they're referred to as dreams. Now, these are, I wouldn't say they're the most common or the most powerful, like the strangers or the presence, but they are the most interactive. Strangers will come in, they'll help someone, and then they get the hell out of there. Well, not the hell out of there, but you know what I mean. They get out of there. Presence, usually they're just kind of there. They don't interact with people. But dreams are purely interaction. Some people claim that they repeatedly see angels in their dreams. Usually they manifest as a memory. Like, oh, I had dreams about my mother shortly after she passed away or stuff like that. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they are completely original characters, for lack of a better term. Tara was in the chat a minute ago talking about how she saw one, and he never looked the same in each dream, but it was the same character. It was the same. She knew it was the same being. And usually they appear more to give advice or guidance. They're not like the presence who seem to show up when we're sad or we feel alone. Nor are they like the strangers who show up when, we're about to freaking die. There's a conspiracy for you. Strangers are actually the angel of death, but he decides to be a nice guy. They have personalities. Yeah, supposedly, yeah, some of them. Some people who say that they have encountered dream angels will tell you that they're not the patient creatures like you hear about in the Bible. They're actually kind of, some people say they're actually kind of rude or blunt. But another common thing, some people, it's one and done. They have one experience and then it goes away. Usually it's to relay a very important message. Hold on a second. Speaking of Cthulhu, my Cthulhu tiki that my dear mother sent me. Yeah, no, if you thought Coca-Cola tasted good served in a glass, dude, you should try it in porcelain. By the way, glass or porcelain is the correct way to drink Coca-Cola. Plastic or metal is wrong. It's a sin. I can verify with the bishop over there. Yeah, you can't see him, but he's nodding. He's nodding. He's been spending the rest of the episode, like, giving me nasty looks because I keep getting stuff wrong and cursing. But anyway, he was blunt but gentle. Yeah, you mentioned, yeah. But and this is kind of one that I've been putting off because, and again, this is going to sound like a massive hypocrite coming from an atheist. I've actually encountered this kind of creature. I encountered 2 of them. And I am telling you the truth. Now, again, I know it's the irony of atheist talks to 2 angels. There's a headline. Call Elon Musk. But I'll share this story actually, and I haven't told anyone this. Now, for context, I am not a dreamer. I almost never remember my dreams, and when I do, I pretty much always forget them. Almost immediately. It's funny actually. Our friend who lives in the attic back in the house, creepy dude. I'll sometimes text him messages like, about a dream. There you go. There's the headline. Who says religious people don't have a sense of humor? Anyway, though, I'll tell our friend who lives up in the attic back at the house about my dreams, and then later I'll go back and I'll look through our chat logs and be like, did I have that dream? Really? Like I cannot remember my dreams for the life of me, except this one. I remember because it was about 2 years ago. It was the night we posted The Light in the Graveyard, which was our very first episode. It's the very first thing I posted anywhere. One of my favorites, honestly. I mean, I love all of our videos, but like The Light in the Graveyard I'd easily say it's one of like, what would you say, top? It's at least in the top 5, maybe top 3. Anyway, though, but I remember when I posted that, I went to bed that night, and I can still remember the dream I had. I remember I was at this big mall with my mother, my sister Tara, and my little brother Sean. But Tara and Sean had gotten lost. And for some reason, my mother had the brilliant idea, let's split up and look for them. Which, to be fair, I love you, Mom, but that kind of sounds like an idea my mom would have. Crud! 2 of our people in the group are lost. We should totally split up. The Freddy logic. But anyway, so okay, fine. So I go off in one direction, and my mother went off in a different one. And I remember I found this hair parlor. And I poked my head in, like, looking to see if Tara was there, or maybe if someone saw her. And there was this woman, and she was not in a good mood. She was like, well, there you are. I've been waiting here for you. What the hell took you so long? And I'm like, excuse me, I'm looking for my sister. And she's like, no, get in here. You've made me wait long enough. Sit down in the chair. And I'm trying to explain to this woman as she's pulling me and forcing me to sit down in this barber's chair. I'm trying to explain to her, I'm looking for my sister. I don't have an appointment. You have me confused with someone else. And she looks at me and goes, no, shut up, okay? Shut up, you stupid boy. There's nothing you need to do that you don't need to look good while you're doing. If you don't look good, you look like trash. If you look like trash, you have no one to blame but yourself when people think you're trash. So shut up and let me cut your hair. Keep in mind, she says this with a pair of shears in her hand, like scissor, big antique scissors. So I'm not going to argue with this lady. And she gave me a haircut and a trim. And she looked at me. And she said, well, damn. I guess I can't call you a stupid boy anymore. I have to call you a stupid man. And then she said, okay, get on out of here. Your appointment's done. Go on. Go find your sister or whatever it was you said you were doing. Now you actually look good enough to do it. And I stepped out of the barber shop, and my phone rang, and my mother had found Tara. Well, great. We still are looking for Sean. And so they were like, well, don't worry. Tara's going to stay with me. You keep, and we'll just keep looking for Sean. When you find him or when we find him, we'll just call each other. So I'm like, great. Fine. Let's keep being split up. You know, again, find the logic here. Let's get more separated. But anyway, and so I'm still walking around this mall looking for Sean. And I walk into this, it looked kind of like a pawn shop, actually. It was full of old stuff. I'm not sure even what you would call it, but it was full of old things. And it seemed like there was no one in there. But I could smell smoke. And everyone in my family right now is going, oh. Because they know what the smoke smell means. And so I'm walking around because I'm like, well, great, Sean's lost, and now there's a fire somewhere or something. And I'm walking around, I'm looking, I'm shouting for anyone to hear me because I smell smoke. And this door, well, it wasn't a door, it was more like a part of the wall of the room actually moved and revealed this hallway. And the smell was stronger. So I was like, well, okay, at the very least, the smoke must be coming from this hallway. Maybe someone's in trouble, maybe someone needs help or something. So I go in to check, and I walk down this hallway, and it led into this room where there were a bunch of men standing around. And they were all smoking cigars except for one. One of them had a cigarette. But they were all standing around this table, looking at this table, talking. And they all turned and saw me. And all the men with cigars were mad. They were like, what the hell are you doing here? You're not supposed to be in here. How'd you even find this room? Blah, blah, blah. They were pissed. But the guy with the cigarette just started laughing. Laughing his ass off. This was the funniest thing he'd ever seen. And the guys with cigars were all kind of, they were mad at him too. They were like, this isn't funny. This is funny. He's not supposed to be in here. How did you even get in here? And I tell him, look, I'm just trying to find my brother, okay? I don't know what the hell is going on around here. I got a weirdo barber lady that wouldn't let me leave. This place stinks like smoke and has hidden hallways. And now there's a meeting of a bunch of dudes in secret that I'm not supposed to see. I don't know what the hell is going on here. I'm not even sure how I got in here. And the man with the cigarette says, well, shit, sport. Most people can't even get in here trying their best. You did it on accident? Imagine what you'll do if you focus. And again, all the cigar guys are looking at him like, don't encourage him. No, this is not okay. He's not supposed to be in here. And the man with the cigarette went, well, okay, yes, he's not supposed to be in here yet. But he still found his way. Without even trying. That's impressive. But they're right, you need to go. You're not supposed to be here yet. And I'm like, well, okay, fine, whatever, I'll go. And so I walked back out of the hallway into this, I guess it was an antique store or a pawn shop or something, I don't know. But as soon as I got into there, my phone goes off, and it's my mom. She found Sean, and I remember specifically she said, I found Sean, no thanks to you. Woman, this was your idea. You were the one that said to split up. Don't be mad at me. But again, and that's basically where the dream ends. But here's the thing. my grandmother, one of her affectionate names for me was Stupid Boy. She would always, with a smirk, she'd call me a stupid boy. Sometimes she'd do it when she was mad, too, if I was in her kitchen while she was cooking. What are you doing in my kitchen? Get out of my way, you stupid boy. Go, go, go. But boy, I learned to really move if I saw she had that melon baller in her hand, by the way. And my grandfather always called me Sport. Now, what does this story mean? I don't know. I mean, I'll say it's very strange that in spite of the fact I can never remember my dreams, I remember that dream. And this was almost 2 years ago now. And I still remember it perfectly. I remember every damn detail. I mean, was that an overactive mind? Was that... Hey. Are my two biggest fans on another plane of existence? I don't know. But I know it happened. And I know that it correlates with what a lot of people call angelic dreams. But, yeah, that's my account. I mean, does it prove or disprove anything? Not really. Like I said, it's just one of a million stories that I have here to tell. And that's why we're going to be here every week. Just like I said before, and I'll say it again. If I'm not here, it means that something has gone horribly wrong. Which is funny, because last week we almost did. Last week we almost actually had to not do the show, because there was a tornado warning. Which, by the way, thanks a lot, nature. You could have saved us from doing that hot sauce challenge. No, the tornado has to move a few miles off to the north, I think it went. It ended up north of us. Because there was a tornado that touched down, actually, last week. Yeah, it was way north. Yeah, no. Poor Bishop took it right in the eye because the tornado just could hold it a little bit longer. But like I said, no, we'll be back every week. And we'll be telling weird stories, talking about stuff that's probably not true. Or, at the very most, isn't what we thought. But, what about you guys? What about you in the chat? Have any of you encountered a demon or an angel? What was it like? My phone is like blowing up right now with people tweeting out that we're doing the show and stuff like that. So thank you. Real quick, by the way, while people are making messages and stuff, while people are talking real quick here, yeah, for the record, I know it's kind of cliche to say, but yes, liking, sharing, subscribing, it actually does help. So please do remember to like the video and share it. There you go, Sean. That's the spirit. Don't let him scare you. If I ever find a demon, I'm going to erase the bastard with all my mental energies. Oh. Wow, you know, I remember a certain little boy that was too scared to play a card game. and now he's gonna go and erase demons. That sounds like the premise of a freaking anime, doesn't it? Demon Eraser. Damn it, that actually sounds kind of cool now. Where do you find her? Mr. Bishop. Everything's on the YouTube channel. Bishop, can we put a link to the channel? There we go. The Bishop is on it. Everything, all of our previous streams are up unless something goes wrong. Every stream, I believe, once we finish the actual show, it is archived on the channel, so you can go back and watch them. All of the episodes of our show are there. What are we on now? Because we have the next one's going to be... Oops. Almost gave away a secret. 10. Yeah, 10. 11? 10 of them. Plus 2. 12. 12. Okay, so we have 12 episodes of our regular show, The Vagrancy Horror. Yeah, there are 12 episodes. There it is. There's a link. You can click on that and it'll take you right to the channel. Yeah. That is so surreal to think. We have 12 episodes up. We're about to have... Oh! Kristoff, you need to stop doing that. Oh, I hope that got picked up by the frickin' camera.
I'm pretty sure that did.
So apparently we have a call-in. I don't know if you guys heard that or not, but there was just this epically loud boom of thunder right over my poor little head. The bishop is going off into the desert now to take a look-see. But anyway. But yeah, no, we have 12 episodes up now. And I guess I could... What do you think? I could let the cat out of the bag, huh, Bishop? Episode 13 will be coming out hopefully soon. Well, no, it will be coming out soon. Episode 13. One that... oh boy, howdy. I've been waiting for this one. This is an episode that I'm really excited for, actually. Wow. You know, the guy upstairs must be doing a lot of thinking tonight. Bonus points if you get the movie reference, by the way. I really hope that that's picking it up. That is... I love storms when I'm not in them, if you didn't know. But no, we're getting some good loud thunder over here. Despite the clear, beautiful desert night sky behind me. That is a good question, Sean. I'm glad we live in a world where we can ask good questions. Because otherwise we just have ignorance. Anyway, though. No, I'm joking. No, Lobulus will not be... Apparently he has a fan. But no, the next episode will not feature Lobulus, but just remember, I'm still out there. It always messes with people when I do that, when I switch over to the Lobulus voice. Oh, they're saying they can't. My sister's saying she can't. Dude, I don't know how you're not hearing this on the microphone. Like, this is actually loud, which is weird because it's kind of cloudy outside over there in the distance. Ooh. Wow, a tornado touchdown about 30 miles from you. That's coincidental, Mr. Bishop. We had a tornado touchdown just north of us. Last. I really hope that you'll learn to use your powers for good. The bishop, I know you can't see him off camera. He literally counted down perfectly when there was a bolt of light, when there was a roll of thunder. I hope you learn to use your powers for good, Mr. Bishop.
I'm watching the flashes of lightning on the buildings and then counting down to the thunder.
Sean is the number one Lobalus fan. He's a fun character to work with. Someday what I need to do is I need to do an episode of the show, but like just talk about the stuff from the Vagrancy horror stories as if it's like the real world. do an in character episode. That'd be kind of funny, actually. Tara. Yes. So, chat, my dear sister Tara actually did voice work for one of our episodes, The Monster of Crown Lake, which is up and you can see it. Little spoiler warning, Tara, keep your schedule open because I'm going to have more work for you soon. Wow. I'm really sorry that you guys aren't hearing this thunder. It is getting kind of noisy up in here, actually. Sean's saying we should have Lobalus come in and host an episode of From One Side to the Other. With like a VTuber art avatar and everything. Oh, I don't know if that would be interesting. Your dad is here in the chat, totally blowing your secret about how you do that, how you were counting down from the lightning. He's like, that's not something special. Anyone could do that.
Pretty much.
Oh, whew. A tornado started forming about 20 miles away from my sister just yesterday, but it didn't actually connect to the ground. Yeah, this is supposedly a very active tornado season, if I recall correctly. I think the Kobold from Kobold's Corner, actually, DJ Scraps was just saying the other day that it was like the most active
record setting.
A record number of tornadoes already, and the season's not over yet.
Actually, it's just getting started.
The bringer of good news. So yeah, people stay safe out there. Seriously, I don't mess around with tornadoes. Those are gnarly. I do not like tornado stuff. But yeah, like I was saying, it's gonna take a natural disaster or straight up death to stop this. We're gonna be here every week. We're still gonna be doing the Vagrancy horror itself. Episode 13 is gonna be coming out very soon. Wow, I can hear that. But yeah, it might be time to for me to mosey on inside, because I can hear rain and thunder coming. I saw that. I saw that flash. This is going to be loud. Not as loud as I was expecting, but still.
Big flash
And my sister says she doesn't want to go to Oz. I can't watch that movie without getting sad. I remember that was our dear Aunt Leah's favorite movie, and every time I even hear that song, I think of her. So I can't watch that anymore. Even though it's a great movie. But anyway, guys, I'm going to be moseying on back inside here. Oh, Mr. Bishop says he can hear the rain too. But yeah, we're going to be wrapping this up. I hope you guys enjoyed talking about demons and angels and, are excited for next week. Next week, I'll go ahead and give you a reveal here. Next week, we're going to be talking about a topic that I personally am kind of sick of hearing about, actually. But several people have asked me to talk about this. Next week, we're going to be talking about skinwalkers and other practitioners of the dark arts. But in the meantime, yeah, nature is saying I gotta get inside. We'll see you next week as always. And I'll see you all then. But in the meantime, keep checking the shadows.